On the 15th of March 2011, the Syrian civil war officially began. Now, in 2021, Syria is in its 11th year of this continuous brutal war. For 11 years, the families of Syria have suffered. Ordinary people like you and I, about half of these children, too young to have ever experienced anything else.
What Kamal witnessed changed him forever. The psychological trauma was so intense, he now suffers seizures. His personality regressed to that of a child.
Growing up witnessing extreme violation of human rights by both the rebels and the Syrian government. Rights that everyone deserves just because they are human. Examples include 88,000 civilians believed to have died of torture in government-run prisons, and just in June 2021, estimated 95 civilians killed. This number is only one less than in June 2020. Overall brutal conflict with 700 attacks on education facilities, making education also inadequate. And the destroying of their right to living area, property, safety and basic needs with 13.5 million, more than half of Syria's pre-war population, becoming forcibly displaced. About 6.8 million are refugees and asylum seekers, while another 6.7 million are displaced within Syria. These horrific statistics that represent real humans continues to rise, and this multitude of human rights violations have left serious long-term effects on the well-being and mental health of these people. 95% of Syrian refugees have fled across the borders to neighbouring countries, predominantly Jordan, Turkey and Lebanon, on foot or on boat. Lebanon, on the southwest of Syria, is the host country to an estimated 1.5 million Syrian refugees, accounting for 20% of Lebanon's population, each red point representing a refugee. Although out of the estimated 1.5 million refugees, only 865,530 are registered because in order to enter Lebanon, a Syrian must have an entry visa, and this can only be issued on a valid passport, which many do not have. No formal refugee camps are established. Consequently, they live in villages, cities, or spontaneously set up settlements across the country. Lebanon is still a third world country, and they are still not met with the basic human or refugee rights that are outlined in the Declaration of Human Rights and the Refugee Convention. Some of these rights violated include arbitrary arrest and detention, no adequate living area, serious restrictions on free expression, serious political interference with the judiciary, and inadequate access to education. After the economic crisis of COVID-19, this has only gotten worse.
المواد الغذائية كانت كلها رخيصة، الأمم كانت منيحة، بس بعد الكورونا ما ضل شغل، لا ضل المواد الغذائية كتير صارت غالية، بدك تجيبي خضرة ما بتروحي بتطلع على الخضرة بترجع ما فيك تشتري شيء.
These rights that apply to these people are not being met to a satisfactory extent. Even still, the much higher increase in the right to a feeling of safety means that most Syrians have a much higher well-being and do not want to return anytime soon. Jasor is an NGO made up of Syrian expatriates that focuses on helping Syrian youth realise their potential through education, career development and global community engagement in Lebanon. During COVID-19, this is done through WhatsApp-based learning, where they are connected with teachers online, as well as stationery and learning supplies, so they can continue to learn from home. Having Syrian expatriates is also encouraging for Syrian refugees, and the volunteers are grateful to have the opportunity to help people from their country, therefore allowing a great sense of understanding and trust between everyone. There's also a full-time counsellor providing psychological support to improve the well-being in anxiety, depression, PTSD and more. Jasor have enrolled 4,631 children in their schools. Although Lebanon has 500,000 Syrian refugee children, and almost half of these are out of school. So, as great as this program is, to those fortunate enough to be a part, Jasor is in need of funds to enrol more kids. Despite this, they are granting Syrian refugee youth, the kids who will need to rebuild Syria, the vital human right of education that is violated and otherwise unachievable without the help of aid programs.
Up in class and told the teacher, I know my rights. Jasur taught me my rights. I have the right to understand, and you have the obligation to teach me, and I need to learn it, so please explain it to me.
Overall, having a greatly positive impact on these refugee communities. In conclusion, imagine what it must be like to have your basic human rights and education violated to such an extent where you must leave everything you know behind.
أنا حلمت أن أمي عايشة، هي بسوريا وجت لهوني، إجت تركت اللي هلا أمي في طحايق ما لقيتها.
Realize the things you take for granted every single day and continue to educate yourself and help others who are so desperately in need.